Hello and welcome to GTO Coach and Go. I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. I want to thank you for joining us for another episode today. And before we get started on this part one of a two-parter, I do want to remind you, if you've not done so yet, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And if you ring the notifications bell, you will be notified anytime that we have new content on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey, and make sure to like and follow our Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page. Okay, I think that's all I need to say about that. What we're going to do today is, I said, we've got a two-parter. We've got some new information that a lot of you have requested and are kind of waiting for and looking for. So again, I'm not the person who is going to be talking about all of this. So let me bring on our director of Group Travel Odyssey, Corey Vries. Hey Corey,
Jim.
how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. So today we're going to start with part one of a two-parter, and we're going to be going over cruise bookings in GTO, part one.
So right, I feel like we've run the full gamut of TV shows now. We've had a clip show, I believe, where we talked about the best of. We've had our weekly episodes. Now we've got the two-parter. It must be sweeps week on the internet.
I know.
So I'm
super excited. There will be a cliffhanger at the end of today's episode, right?
I will make sure of it. Okay, I will make sure of it.
Good.
Yeah. So today we are talking about cruises, and one of the great things about GTO is our ability to sort of adapt to what our members want, and though we can't always provide what members want, what's really nice is that cruising was sort of built up by comments and suggestions from member companies about how they do cruising. And so we built a special module for it because it has a lot of differences between that and a normal group trip, let's say. But the first thing I want to mention is if you do a couple of cruises a year and basically all you do is get from the cruise line a quote and you bring it in and build the rest of the trip in GTO like normal, you're fine, right? If they give you, let's say student groups, for instance, you go to a cruise and you say, I want to book this many rooms on the cruise for these students. And what they usually come back with is a package price like a hotel would do, or a receptive. And that's what we do, is we treat cruises like receptives in the system. And that's not what we're talking about today, right? We're not talking about when your cruises. This is when you do cruises. Let's say you're an adult tour operator and you put a cruise up on We Travel for people to buy in or something of that nature. Then you want a little bit more information than just the flat rate of a cruise receptive. So basically, we've built out a way to do different cabin sizes and prices and all that sort of stuff. So let's get into the meat of what we're talking about here. I'm going to go ahead and do the very awkward share screen moment of trying to share the screens, and I am coming into making sure. I'm going to look over at my other screen for a while to see. And what you should see is just a normal add trip screen. Now, this is a screen we've all seen in our trainings, in our building. It's just the very first page of adding a trip. And that's step one. Add a trip like you normally would. When you get to pricing type, you'll see student, youth, and adult, senior, and what you'll see is cruise. For those of you who had noticed before, there used to be one called cruise do not use. We've just changed that to be cruise now because you can use it. We did do not use so that while we were building it out, people wouldn't use it. And then while we were testing it, we didn't want people to suddenly just use it out of context. So now what we do, we're going to choose cruise. You're going to see nothing much has changed. You're still going to choose your currency type. You're still going to do your trip start date. Let's pick a good cruise date. How about September 30th? We're going to end it on the 1st or the 4th. It's this year, so we'll do our sales year of 2024. Our destination, let's go to the Bahamas this week. Our group type, we'll choose adult. And we're just going to use the we'll just use the GTO training account. So basically, we got ourselves a trip 2024 GTO training account, Adult Bahamas. Just what we wanted to say. I like it. We're going to add a contact to the trip. I have to admit, I'm not even really sure who's the contact on this trip or on the training account, but we're going to find out. If it wasn't for the fact that the internet in my home has suddenly gone wonky. Jim, are you still with me?
I am.
So I know it's not. Hmm. You might notice that I'm using the new style of navigation, and if you're not, please check out our fast break on that to switch over. That date has been postponed, but we're still looking to have it being done. Apparently, Sales Manager does not like to have us enter or use it at the moment.
And while that's coming up, just a reminder, this is part one. Today, we're going to take you through Sales Manager, hopefully, and we're going to go through the sales portion of cruise bookings in GTO. Then next week, Tuesday at 2 o'clock is part two. We're going to go ahead and for part two, we're going to go through the rest of the process. So we're going to go through operations and everything else that goes along with the cruise bookings in GTO. So just, keep that in mind as we're going through this. I'll bring our heads back up here for a little while on the screen. And again, as we go through this, if you do have questions, please make sure to submit them and Corey will answer those to the best of his abilities here. Did it not like our training account?
Something definitely it did not like, but I think we're back on track now.
Okay, you can do the demonstration account if you want, because I know I'm under that one.
I will do it. Well, this is unfortunate. So, Jim, I'm going to need you to do a song and dance number.
Sure, that I can do.
While
you reboot GTO?
Yes. Apparently, I've been testing a little bit too much as other people these days.
Aha.
And
that is what happens. Just a reminder, again, as Corey said with this, and I'll take this off screen just for a moment. But as Corey said with this, we do really appreciate feedback, and we like your input with a lot of things that we're building in GTO. With this whole cruise booking, we've been working with a couple of our member companies in order to get this up and running, and getting your feedback, getting the feedback of our members is hugely important, because we know that we're on the right track if it's set up in the way that you need the flow to happen. So you have a big say in a lot of this as we're going through and developing processes within GTO. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to us with ideas that you may have. You can even enter them in the help desk if you want to. And you can email our help desk at help@gtonetwork.com. And again, make sure to put help in the subject line and then that way we can get back to you. But even if you're submitting ideas for for new processes or things that you would like to see in the system, by all means, reach out and let us know, because a lot of what's happened in GTO over the past 3 years that I've been here has been built because of your feedback. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. And for those of you who reach out to us on a regular basis, thank you for doing that. There are a lot of times I hear, you're probably tired of hearing from me. No, we're not tired of hearing from you. We're appreciative that you're using the system and you have questions and that you're reaching out to us about things. That's all part of the GTO community. So, we're always happy to get that feedback, and we're always happy to talk. We're not shy people, those of us at GTO. So we will talk and talk and talk.
Jim, we are back up and running.
Okay.
So for anybody who wants to know, sign out at the end of the night so you don't have what just happened to me when I did not sign out.
Did you leave your GTO up and running all night long?
I did. It's a terrible thing, I know. But we are back up and running. And
I think there's a fast break on that. So
yes, there is. And once I signed out and signed back in, everything's fine. Okay. I just wanted to show you, we've added Jim in. We've used the demonstration account. Basically, this is all the same. But once you get down to the bottom, no longer you see proposals, you'll see cruises. And instead of an add proposal button, you'll see add a cruise. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to add a cruise today. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is choose a cruise line. So we'll just choose Carnival. But we should have a bunch of cruise lines in there. If you don't see a cruise line in there, please, by all means, let us know. We'll get it in there. And a departure port. This has all of the world's departure ports in one spot, in order of their use, by the way. So if you ever wanted to know, Miami was the most used port at one time. I have heard that Port Canaveral has taken them over. But if you want to know what the least one used is Liverpool. It must be after that Titanic incident. So you're going to choose your departure port of Miami. Then you're going to add your cabin pricing. So when Carnival Cruise Lines and you make a deal, they're going to give you cabin pricing. So we're going to add that. You're going to choose cabin 1, and then you're going to choose what type of room it is, inside, outside, balcony, concierge. We're going to start with the inside room. It'll probably give you a room code, whatever that might be. Then you'll put in your double price and your single price, a quad triple supplement if you wish. If you have more than one cabin that you're going to be offering, let's do cabin 2. Let's do 3 cabins. So here's the outside cabin. And then here's our 3rd cabin. We'll do a balcony cabin.
Fancy.
Yeah, that's the one I'll buy, I'm sure. And we'll put those prices in. I'm just making them easy for the moment, right? You have up to the choice of 5 cabin types. If you need any more than that, you're offering a lot of different cabins for sure. But we only do 5 right now. If they have a drink package, you can add that in. If you have port charges, you can add that in. Those port charges, by the way, will double for a single room, which I understand is industry standard, that the port charges are for a double room. So they double for a single room. The gratuities that you might want to add to it, any sort of taxes that you may want to add, we're going to save and close. You'll see that if you need to add a miscellaneous fee, a miscellaneous percentage fee, you can do that by changing the taxes and extras and add those in. You're certainly welcome to do that. Make any sort of changes to a mistake you may have made. You have a choice of a flat fee or a percentage fee. So now you have the chance to add products that you may or may not want to add to the beginning or an end of a cruise. If you are just offering the cruise and that is it, you're just a reseller of cruises, you want to get it up on WeTravel, make your money, that's awesome. Then you're pretty much done and you can move on to pricing. But if you're going to add something onto the end for your passengers, like let's say a hotel, let's say you're given a hotel the night before, right? And what we're going to do is we're just going to add a hotel. And this is going to look a lot like your add quote screen that you've seen before. Combination quote. We're going to choose, I don't even know. But I know we're going out of Miami, right?
Yep.
Well, let's choose a Miami hotel then. I don't even know. We'll just choose that one. I don't even think that's really close to the port, but that's okay. And then what you're going to do is choose your night's override. Remember that in GTO, the hotel will calculate for the entire rung of the trip, right? So if you have a 5-night trip, it's going to charge you for 5 nights. So you want to override it for 1. You're just there the night before. So override it for 1. You get a quote for a double room and a quote for a single room. And I will say, if you're doing a quote for a double room, just make sure that you are dividing it by 2 so you have the right double price in mind. So if that room is really, let's say, $200, you would put $100 here in for this one. Your tax rate and your per person fee, just like anything else. If you choose breakfast not included, you can add the breakfast cost as well. So then you have the chance to add any additional products. So you could add, let's say, a meal. So here's one in Hialeah. We'll choose Applebee's. Why did I choose Applebee's? Because I know there's a price in here I can choose. That's why. You don't need to put it on a trip day or a day block. We're going to do that a little bit differently. And what we are going to notice is when we come down here, we're going to see a cruise cost instead. So just be aware that we want to see that cruise cost there. If you noticed, what we haven't done is add a number of people to your trip. Normally, one of the first things you do when you add a proposal is tell you how many people are going on that trip. We assume that if you sell 50 or you sell 40, that it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change the price any, unless you have some group prices, which we'll talk about in a minute. But for the most part, what you're doing is just coming up with a per person cost. So we have a different way to calculate that with our group cost without having to add people into it. We're going to save and close that. And so now we have ourselves a nice additional product. You can also add an airline quote, just like normal. Just add to the airline quote. When you use it, like let's choose it. We'll choose a Delta flight. In our airfare, you'll notice that we have no number of adults or children. That's totally okay for a cruise. You can do your preferred everything if you'd like. I'm not going to fill that in for time's sake today, nor am I going to choose my flight segments right now. I'm going to go right down to pricing. You really only want 1 seat because that's all you're worried about right now. We'll worry about booking them later, right? You still want to choose your currency because we have to know that kind of thing. But your base fare per seat is what we're really worried about here, making sure that we get that cost per person in here. When that's done, we're going to go back to our proposal and we'll find that there's an airline quote in here. So you can add hotels, as many as you'd like, products, as many as you'd like, and airline. Now let's talk a little bit about group pricing. Most things that you're going to do for your for the cruise aren't going to need group pricing. But on the rare occasion that you might have one, we have sort of figured out a way to do that for you. And let's, I'm going to choose, even though this is an adult group, I'm going to choose, let's say, awesome clinician. Because what you really would do here in this case is you would add a miscellaneous group cost. So let's say In this case, your group cost is $1,000. At the bottom here, you'll notice that on a group price, it's going to say cruise estimated passengers. And basically what this will do is say, well, I assume 50 people will go, making that now a $20 cost for you. You have to make the decision on how many people you think are going to go. I would always err on the side of caution. So if you think 50 are going, I would do it by 40. That's going to add $5 onto everyone's cost. But if you don't make 50, you're not going to lose any money on it. And thereby we have a nice one for $25 instead of $1,000. You're able to make a group price into a per person price, because that's really what we're going for here. Now, itinerary is done a little bit differently as well. When you add an itinerary with us, or for cruises, we know that the cruise line sets most of your itinerary. So we give you a place to just type it in or cut and paste it. But let me give you some caution with cut and paste. The more formatting something has, the less it's going to work for your itinerary. But you can type it in. You can type whatever you want to. Oops. I don't know why there's an F in the middle of that. So day one, you're going to do this. And day two, you're going to do that. And day three, you're going to do the other thing. This, that, and the other thing. So you just type it out. You can bold if you'd like, or italicize if you'd like. However you'd like to do any of that is totally up to you. And then save and close. When I refresh this page right now, because it does take a second, you're going to notice something, which is a product has been added to your products called itinerary. And this is important because if you'd like to alter the itinerary that you put in, you could redo it in the itinerary box. It will create another cruise itinerary, but you could also go into that itinerary product and change out what you want to do, right? So you could adjust it now. Either way works. The only problem is on one, you have to delete out the other one. So if I'm like, oh, I need to redo my cruise itinerary, if you want to do it under this tab, delete the product that says itinerary first.
Okay.
Then comes pricing. So you see there's a product cost that came from your products right here, add it all together. You'll see that there was no breakfast, but here's your airline seat at $1,000. Your hotel double is $50 a person. Your hotel single is $200 per person. Oh, so this actually did what I wanted it to do. So you would have wanted to put 150 there to make it do the calculations right. My fault. So it does do the calculation for you. I panicked a little bit on that one. Sorry, guys. We're going to put it into edit mode, and you're going to choose your pricing margin just like you do on a trip. So here we go. I'm going to choose one that is for our company. Not enterprise, but awesome. I'm going to put a 17% margin on it. Now I'm going to have a bunch of prices. Inside double was $28.72. Inside singles $44.46. Outside doubles $34.89. Outside singles $50.63. Now you'll notice that all of these are here for you, and unlike in Sales Manager, there's no override here. There is an override. It will be later in the process. So if you're going to use an override, like you don't like $28.72, you like $28.99. We're going to do that in a different spot for cruises. So here you have your pricing, right? There's a proposal that you can generate that would be your own custom document. We have a custom document that looks terrible. I'm not going to show it to you because we did not spruce it up. It's just proof that all the information goes over. But what we'll do is we'll create your custom document for your proposals for this. So no issues there. But one last thing that we need to do for part one is we need to add a payment schedule. Interestingly enough, when you add the payment schedule, what you want to do is set your payments up. We're going to do 3 payments. So we're going to do one with a due date of next Monday, and it's going to be $200. Just to keep you up to date, that cost for double is $1,000. We want to remember that. Now, what we can do here is, and this is really nice, is now we can just add the other payments in. So the second one is due the 6th. We give you a lot of time to get your stuff around, right? And that's going to be $800. And really what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to match. You can match any one of them in price. That doesn't matter. But I'm just going to go ahead and choose the cheapest one. So we still have $1,000 to go. So my final payment, which is going to be due July 30th, is going to be for the remaining $1,000. We're going to save and close it. So what we have here is cabin pricing, our taxes and extras, any additional products that we might want to use, including our airline. We've set ourselves an itinerary by typing it in or cutting and pasting with as little formatting as possible. Our pricing, we've chosen our pricing levels to create our cabin pricing. We've created our proposal with a custom document that you'll supply to us. We've added a payment schedule, which adds up to just one of these. Obviously I did the cost double. We'll need to remember that for later because I can't do math. So what I did was I actually went to the balcony double one and made it equal that. That's all good. Just and that's going to show us actually a good thing over in Trip Manager to watch out for. So that's good that I remembered that. Great. So the last thing that you do for this is you go to pricing and you press, I'm sorry, that'll be for next time. That's our cliffhanger.
Oh my gosh, what a cliffhanger.
I know, isn't it?
I'm shocked. I don't know what to do.
So we're going to talk about what happens over in Trip Manager on part 2 of this. We're already running a little bit long from our normal, and that's sort of something to get you started with playing around in cruises. Get yourself some test things and start playing around in there. It's actually quite simple. It's been simplified from the normal Sales Manager for a trip. It has less bells and whistles at the moment as our 1.0 is being rolled out, but you're able to use the information given to you by a cruise line better than to have to kind of wheedle it into the normal sales process. But what's great is this is what we're going to find out next week on Coach and Go. We're going to find out that it will go right into to We Travel with all the stuff that you want. It will go into Passenger Manager with the packages that you want. So it's all going to be a seamless process from here, which we're going to talk about next week.
Wow, you gave us a cliffhanger and a preview of next week.
Yes. Look, do I know my TV or what?
You know your TV. It's just like watching Bridgerton all over again. So, you know.
well, I'm not getting married later, so that's the difference there.
Well, again, next week, as we've been saying, part 2 is on Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern time. So make sure to join us again for part 2, and we will take you through the rest of this cruise process. Corey, thank you so much for taking us through all of this. And I look forward to finding out how this all resolves. So, you know, as I do in these cliffhangers like that. So
absolutely. Sounds good. We will see you next week then.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you then. Take care.
Thank you for watching this episode of GTO Coach and Go. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including Destination Dispatch and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.